New York Jets going for a B. Going with a B here for the Jets.
Going with a B.
Now, do you like what the Jets did this offseason?
Yes. Yeah, I did. Tyron
You said
Smith.
they're worse.
I didn't say they were necessarily worse. I said a large part of their offseason has to be viewing like the addition of Aaron Rodgers, if you're getting him.
I've been guilty of this in the past, looking at the name, looking at how good they play football, how well they play football, and ignoring the injury risk because it's hard to quantify, right? But if you do that, which I tend to do, Mike Williams coming in at receiver, Tyron Smith coming in at left tackle. I mean, they've made some moves. Now those are boomer bust types of guys, right? Getting
Right.
Tyron Smith through a whole season, getting Mike Williams through a whole season. But if they're healthy and play, it has the potential to be a couple of the really good offseason moves, of course, with Aaron Rodgers coming back.
Yeah, my point, I think, that was perhaps slightly taken out of context last time around is that I think if you ignore Aaron Rodgers and you look at players 2 through 53 on the roster, it's not immediately clear that they're significantly better than they were a year ago because most of the additions came again against corresponding losses, right?
But if you do it unit by unit, like the offensive line as a unit certainly is in better shape than it was last year.
But like Hassan Reddick comes in, but Bryce Huff departs. Javon Kinlaw comes in, but John Franklin Myers departs. Like the defensive line as a totality might not be better than it was a year ago.
Yeah. So I think unit-wise, though, receiver's an upgrade. Offensive line is an upgrade. The trade for Morgan Moses, I'll do that all day, right? Mid-rounder to get Morgan Moses, who's been very dependable, solid. He's stayed healthy. He's kind of been the opposite of Tyron Smith as far as injuries go.
The big thing that I love from their offseason is the combination of solutions at left tackle, right? I was sort of pitching, I think, to the Jets, actually, that they should get Tyron Smith and then Josh Jones. Like, they should get both those guys for exactly the same reason, right? Tyron Smith should play, if he plays at a Pro Bowl / All-Pro level, right? One of the best left tackles in the NFL still. Having said that, he will probably miss time, and so you need some kind of capable backup option. My idea early in the offseason was Josh Jones, but Olu Fashanu, I think, is a better long-term play at that spot, and he could be a better short-term play than Josh Jones as well. So I love that combination. Like, I think that is the best thing that they've done this offseason is absolutely answer the issue at left tackle.
Yeah, I like the way they handled that. And did you see the video on Joe Douglas and the number of times he tried to trade up for Malachi Corley? I'm always fascinated by what leads to that. Is that simply because they loved him as a player, or did they get enamored with the skill set, the yards after the catch type of skill set, when you wanted a player like Malachi Corley so much in the draft, who they eventually get in the third round? Was that simply because, look, Mike Williams isn't a yards after the catch type of guy. Garrett Wilson's more of an all-around Stephon Diggs type of receiver. He's not a yak-centric guy, but Corley brings a complete different change of pace, screen guy, put him in the backfield, do all these different things, put the ball in his hands, and that's completely different from what everybody else has, and they had to have him. So interested to see how he fits in because the Jets really, really wanted him.
Yeah, and it's always like that always doesn't feel great to me when guys are so obsessed with particularly a day 3 player. It's like, I got to get this guy. I got to go trade.
It was day 2.
Was it day 2? When did they get it?
Early third round.
Third.
But they were trying to trade up as high as the mid-second. They were trying to get up for a while to get Corley.
It just, when you're outside of the first round, becoming that locked in on a guy always feels like a questionable process because of all those data points that we mentioned, that the chances are you're not any better at identifying the dude. So sure, take a swing at it, like try and get him if you like, but like becoming, and part of this is just that's the way that sort of video plays out, right? It's like you edit it together, you look at the number of times they try to trade out. It's the desperation that seems like is there might not really be how it was, but yeah, like it is a skill set that was sort of not quite missing. It's like Garrett Wilson is a really good yards after the catch receiver, but it is a different skill set than anybody else on this roster.
He's good at it, but he's just your do-it-all wide receiver one. He's not your gadget player, so to speak.
And he's
right?
also not breaking tackles through power the way Corley is. Like Corley's going to run over people as much as run around them, whereas Garrett Wilson is very much a cut and leave you grasping at air type of yak guy.
This is where we'll see how it plays out, but that's where I tend to believe the teams focus a little bit too much on fit for those trade ups, and we'll see how that plays out. I want to explain too. You think Bryce Huff versus Hassan Reddick. Huff is a better snap for snap pass rusher than Reddick, but Reddick is probably more suited to play every down.
And has.
Huff.
I mean, he's proven that he's
right. So that's not. I don't know that it's Huff is better than Reddick. But snap for snap, Huff is going to be a more effective pass rusher, but Reddick's probably going to give you more.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I would
player.
say those two guys are a wash. One has been a better player on a per snap basis. One has played way more snaps and been more productive on a volume basis. So if we say that those two things equal out and it becomes a wash, then their defensive line moves becomes John Franklin Myers versus Javon Kinlaw, and Franklin Myers has been a way better player than Kinlaw. So it's a net loss.
I think their WAR was almost exactly the same last year. So the
Kinlaw
Eagles.
And Franklin Myers.
Sorry, Huff and Reddick.
Yeah.
So